Did you know that a staggering 85% of men are completely unaware when they're being cheated on? It's mind-blowing, isn't it? But don't panic just yet, because today, I'm about to unveil some crucial insights that could change the way you perceive your relationship forever. Before we dive into the details, if you're serious about mastering the female mind and transforming your love life, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This way you won't miss out on any of my future videos that could literally save your relationship or help you find the one that truly fulfills you. Now, let's get straight to the point. Men, you need to listen carefully because what I'm about to reveal might hold the key to understanding the deepest, darkest mysteries of female behavior. Have you ever heard the saying that women are experts at concealing their true intentions? Well, it's not just a rumor, it's an unsettling reality. When it comes to infidelity, women are far more subtle, often outpacing men in their deceptive prowess. While many men, bless their hearts, tend to leave behind obvious trails of infidelity, we women can hide our actions with a finesse that borders on mastery. But don't lose hope. Today I'm going to share with you the 6 key phrases every woman says when she's cheating, phrases that fly completely under the radar for most men. And what? If I told you that your partner's behavior has been trying to tell you something all along, but you've never noticed? Do you really know what's happening in your relationship? Has she ever uttered any of these 6 phrases, and you didn't even suspect a thing? Don't look away now, because what I'm about to share might be the difference between living in blissful ignorance or discovering a truth that could reshape your life in unimaginable ways. Without further ado, let's dive in. Number 1, so-and-so understands me so well. When your partner starts repeatedly bringing up someone else's name, especially in a tone that carries a sense of admiration or warmth, take note. At first glance, a statement like so-and-so understands what I'm going through so well might seem harmless, right? But don't be fooled. This seemingly innocent phrase is often a sign of something much deeper. She's not just making small talk, she's hinting at the fact that she's building an emotional bond with this other person. This connection may start as a comparison, but it's actually a subtle indicator that someone else outside the relationship is beginning to fulfill needs she feels you aren't. The emotional gap between you is quietly widening. She may be drifting toward emotional or even physical intimacy with someone else while you remain unaware. This phrase is often the first ripple of a much larger wave of emotional distancing, signaling her search for comfort, validation, or excitement elsewhere. So the next time you hear her say something like this, don't brush it off. It's more than just words. It's a sign, a warning that something is shifting beneath the surface. Stay tuned, because the next 5 phrases could be even more revealing. When she frequently compares you to so-and-so or heaps excessive praise on this person, it's more than just an innocent comment, it's a signal, a subtle flare going off in the distance. Who is this so-and-so? What role do they play in her life? These are questions you must ask. It's critical that you don't ignore the signs, instead investigate. Peel back the layers of her interactions, her behaviors, and find out what's really going on. By paying attention, you can take meaningful steps to understand the situation more clearly and perhaps salvage what's left of your relationship before it's too late. Number 2, don't worry, I'm just going out with some friends. At first glance, this phrase seems harmless, just going out with friends, right? But often, the reality beneath these words is far more complicated. When someone is hiding something, they rely on familiar, routine excuses to create a sense of normalcy, to make you feel at ease while they go off and do something far more questionable. This simple statement can be a smokescreen, concealing behaviors or intentions that aren't as innocent as they appear. Pay attention if this phrase is being thrown around often or inconsistencies start cropping up in the stories about her outings. That's your cue. Something doesn't add up. She's using the "I'm just going out with friends" line to keep you in the dark, to avoid questions, to maintain a facade of normalcy. But beneath that calm surface, something could be brewing. If her stories lack clarity or you spot discrepancies, it's not paranoia. It's an indicator that you need to take a closer look. Number 3, I need more space for myself. When your partner utters these words, it might initially sound like a genuine, even healthy, request, a desire to carve out a bit of personal breathing in the relationship. After all, everyone needs some space, right? But beneath the surface, this seemingly innocent plea could be a subtle strategy to distance herself, to create a gap that allows for more freedom, possibly with someone else, all while avoiding suspicion. It's not just a harmless need for individuality sometimes. It's a cleverly veiled attempt to establish opportunities for behavior that isn't exactly in line with the expectations of fidelity or commitment. At first glance, the request for space might seem reasonable, an opportunity for her to focus on personal growth, maybe a new hobby or a solo adventure. But if this desire starts to materialize as noticeable emotional or physical distance, alarms should be going off. You need to pay close attention. Is this space being used for activities she never shares with you? Are there gaps in communication, subtle shifts in how she interacts with you? When space becomes a recurring theme in your relationship, it's time to ask whether it's truly about her own personal journey or a veiled escape from the relationship itself. Be aware that this space could transform into a barrier, a way for her to avoid deeper communication or intimacy with you. The distance might start small, but it could signal a larger issue looming on the horizon, one that threatens the very core of your relationship. Number 4, I'm working late tonight. The classic excuse, working late. On the surface, it seems like a reasonable explanation for her absences over time, a last-minute deadline, an urgent meeting. But here's the thing: when this phrase becomes a regular occurrence, when work starts to consume her evenings more often than not, it's time to raise your eyebrows. Sure, work gets busy, but could this be a cover for something else? If she frequently claims she's stuck at the office, ask yourself, how many late nights can one job demand? It's critical to pay attention to the small details, the nuances. Is her story consistent? Do her explanations line up? When she says she's working late, are there other signs that suggest she's not being entirely forthcoming? Perhaps she's not at the office after all. Maybe those extended absences aren't about job responsibilities, but secret meetings, unspoken rendezvous, or time spent elsewhere that has nothing to do with her career. Sudden changes in her routine, subtle defensiveness when questioned, or even the avoidance of your concerns, these are all red flags. How does she react when you bring up her late hours? Is her response filled with reassurance, or do you sense a hint of evasion? Pay close attention, because her explanations, no matter how convincing, could be masking something far more complicated than an overtime shift at work. The key here is to stay vigilant. You don't need to jump to conclusions, but you also can't afford to ignore the patterns. When the pieces don't fit, when the stories don't add up, her late night work may be anything but what it seems. Number 5, I think we need some time apart. When she says we need some time apart, at first, it may sound like an honest effort to address lingering issues in the relationship. Maybe she wants to reflect, recalibrate, and come back stronger, right? But hold on, there's often much more hidden beneath the surface of this seemingly reasonable request. It's crucial to understand that this suggestion for separation could be a calculated move, one designed to create both emotional and physical distance. Why? Because that space could allow for a new relationship to blossom without you around to interfere. Often, the desire for time apart is not just about resolving conflicts or finding herself. Instead, it might be a subtle strategy to test the waters, gauge your reaction, and see if she can set the stage for what comes next, possibly an affair. By creating a buffer between the two of you, she may be alleviating her own guilt or preparing for the fallout of her infidelity. That space she's asking for. It might just be the perfect cover for her to explore new desires or engage in a relationship that you're unaware of. Be particularly attentive if this request seems to come out of nowhere, no prior discussions, no build-up. It's the sudden, unexplained desire for distance that should set off alarms. Abrupt changes in behavior, an unexpected plea for space, these could signal that she's looking for an escape route. And this time apart is less about introspection and more about creating opportunities. Pay close attention to how often she brings this up and how she frames the conversation. These details can provide crucial clues about what she's really after. Number 6, you deserve someone better than me. Now, when she says, "You deserve someone better than me," it's a phrase dripping with emotional complexity, often loaded with layers of guilt, regret, and the desire to lighten her conscience. At first glance, it might seem like a moment of vulnerability, a recognition of her own shortcomings. But don't be fooled, this statement often hides a much deeper, more troubling truth. This phrase can be her indirect admission that she's involved in something she knows is wrong, perhaps even an affair. She's trying to justify her behavior, using the statement as a way to sidestep responsibility. By telling you that you deserve better, she's not only easing her guilt, but also preparing the groundwork for a potential separation. It's her way of saying, "I know I've done something unforgivable, but maybe the problem isn't with our relationship, it's with me." By framing herself as the inadequate one, she's giving herself a moral escape hatch, subtly shifting the blame away from the real issue. It's not about the relationship's failure. It's about her inability to be the partner you deserve. But dig deeper, this humility could be a way for her to acknowledge her wrongdoing without directly confessing to the betrayal. When you hear her say, "You deserve someone better than me," don't just take it at face value. The subtext is heavy, possibly signaling that she's well aware of the hurt she's causing, but is trying to soften the blow by making it seem as if she's the one who's failing you. It's a way to release herself from the guilt while subtly preparing you for the inevitable. This phrase may sound self-reflective, but in reality, it could be a carefully veiled admission of dishonesty. If you hear it, know that something much deeper may be going on, and it's essential to look beyond the surface.